Vermont is filled with artists, performers, and craftsmen. This is a show that puts them all together in one place. Welcome to Craft in the Southern Half. We're in White River Junction. Let's stop in Northern Stage and talk to the artistic director, Carol Dunn. And here we are at Northern Stages with Carol Dunn. Carol, nice to meet you.
Jamie, nice to meet you.
This is your second season, so
Yes.
you are in the driver's seat.
I am. I'm no longer a newbie.
No longer. The newbie freshness has worn off completely, and she's in the driver's seat. Tell us how exciting it is to not only start this new season, which is just a few days away, folks, Into the Woods, just a few days away, but the new building coming next year.
Well, it's an extraordinary opportunity for me personally and for the community. I came to Northern Stage a year and a half ago, and my goal at the time was to really stabilize a company that had gone through a lot of growing pains over the past couple of years. There were some financial difficulties. Northern Stage had always been a wonderful part of the community, but was facing some big challenges. The biggest challenge is our space. We are in the Briggs Opera House and have been for 16 years over in the Hotel Coolidge. And this space, we have outgrown it. We outgrew it some time ago. Our patrons come up a long flight of stairs. They're passionate about the intimacy of the space, but not much else. And so when I was brought in here, that was one of the big things that was sort of looming in the future, but I didn't realize the future would come so quickly.
Wow. I think if you're over 50, you're always like, the stairs in the Briggs Opera House.
They're formidable. And not only do we, okay, I'm almost over 50, not only do we all have trouble going up those stairs, we bring our sets up 22 stairs every time a show is loaded in. So every show is a Rubik's Cube. And so, not to dwell on that, but it was very clear to me and to the staff that we had a big challenge ahead of us and we needed a new home.
And behind us, we have pictures of the new home.
Of our new home.
That we will talk about a little more later with Eric Bunge. But for now, let's talk about this exciting new season that is just going to start in a few days.
Yes.
Into the Woods, folks. Get your tickets now. It's Sondheim. It starts Once Upon a Time, but it's very funny, very adult.
Once Upon a Time. It is very adult. That's a great point. Into the Woods is the most accessible, absolutely, Stephen Sondheim musical. I played The Baker's Wife years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago at the Cleveland Playhouse, and I've always felt that this was a story for young people, old people, anyone who has a dream.
You've changed, you're daring, you're different in the woods.
And the metaphor of Into the Woods is you have an adventure, you have a dream, you have a quest, you go into the woods, scary things happen, great things happen, dreams come true, dreams fall apart, and ultimately we end up very different people after having gone into the woods. It's the first time we've done a Sondheim musical at Northern Stage, and that's part of my vision in coming to this theater company, is expanding our repertoire. Vermont and New Hampshire are extraordinarily fruitful states. We have so many artists, we have so many dreamers here. I think it takes a certain kind of person to want to move to Vermont and New Hampshire, and that brings us all together. There's a commonality, I think, of a bit of an adventurous spirit, an ability to take some tougher choices sometimes and hope they come out that, winters are tough, but we love our springs and we embrace our winters. Theatrically, I know that Northern Stage can expand its repertoire and do more challenging work along with my favorite accessible work like great comedies and musicals. I also run the New London Barn Playhouse, and that's lighter fare for sure. But I think we have an opportunity to really make a statement here in between these two states, almost like a national theater, to really embrace both communities and try and speak to a larger region.
It's a heck of a season that you're starting here. As you're moving in, what do the people here, do you think they want to see? What is your idea? So musicals?
A big part of my job is what do I think people will love seeing, even if they don't know it. You run into people who say, I don't want to see that show, I've never heard of it. Or, I don't want to see that show, I've seen it 50 times. well, then there's nothing. And, in between. So my job is to put together a program that, if it's something people have seen before, like maybe A Christmas Carol, that we do it differently, that we have a point of view that is very specific to this company. My point of view with Our Christmas Carol is that I know I can cast it with nationally renowned actors from the best regional theaters. Because of my past 30 years in the theater, Gordon Clapp is going to play our Scrooge. Gordon Clapp is an Emmy-winning and Tony-nominated actor who was born to play this role, and we're going to have him, in our community for those weeks. So that's the aspiration there, is that Our Christmas Carol is just so good and so sophisticated and so creatively produced that it is unlike anything you've ever seen before.
Now, not to get too far ahead, but
Yeah.
you said it, giving people what they might want to see, but also kind of challenging them. Clybourne Park,
That's right.
and what's going on right now in the
That's
United
right.
States, what's going on this moment, what's going to be going on in a month from now,
Right.
2 months from now.
Right.
It's so cutting edge. It's not enough to say it's a Pulitzer Prize winning play, an Olivier winning play. It's not enough to say it's about race, because it's also very funny.
It's very funny, and that helps that you have a play that tackles something very tricky, but with humor and with humanity. What I love about Clybourne Park, to be honest with you, is that it's very much about now, 2012 is the second half of the play, and how people are coming into communities that maybe had been downtrodden. It's about a house in a development that is all black, then it's all white, then it's all black, and so it's the movement of a development. And we come back in 2012, and a white family is moving into a predominantly African-American neighborhood and tearing down the house and building a McMansion. And that resonates with me in that up here, people here are very compassionate about talking about issues of racism, and we love to program things that make people better people. But also, we know what development is doing to our cultures up here. We know what McMansions are doing. We see that everywhere also. So it's a real melting of a lot of issues that are here and now, and it's beautifully written.
It is.
And it's an opportunity for actors who are accomplished and funny and smart, and we have a young director named Chad Larrabee coming here for the first time, which is part of my mission, opening the doors to actors and artists who really have excited me over the years and bringing them here to tell a story in our way.
And very important, behind her is not a McMansion theater. This theater looks, I can still see where they sold cars. And if they have to go back to that, they could fit quite a few foreign cars right in the front windows.
Yeah.
If you guys have to do that for the gift shop.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that.
But it's
though.
really beautiful, and it keeps the scale of White River.
That was so important to us. This theater company, its hallmark has been intimacy. We've been in a 245-seat theater. We're building a 240-seat theater. Just better seats, better sight lines. We can attract lighting designers who have that incredible skill to completely transform the space. But in our theater right now, our ceiling is 12 feet tall. This will be 20-something feet tall. So we're keeping the intimacy. The thing that's also important is it's a $7 million theater. This is a smallish community with tentacles that reach far and wide, but a $7 million theater is a fairly modest theater that fits in with White River Junction. White River Junction is, I feel, in a real tipping point towards becoming a very strong arts community, and we're really happy to be one of the anchors.
You're on the front of the wave.
We are, with some great partners.
And we can talk to the folks also. I was very attracted to the $20 Tuesdays.
Isn't that great?
I think that's a great idea. So tell us about that.
I want to tell you about that because one of the first things I did when I came in here was speak to the board and to the staff about how I felt our ticket prices were too high. Some of our ticket prices were up to $65, $70, and I can't afford that. I have 2 kids. I can't do that. What we did is lower all of our ticket prices. This might not be out there yet. Our top price is in the 50s now. Lowered everything. We've also created more membership models so that if you donate a certain amount of money, you get your subscription for free. So that membership and commitment to the company is nurtured. We have $20 Tuesdays, which I think is brilliant. We have student rush tickets now at all times. I don't know exactly how much is, Jamie. I think it's $10 or $15, but we were passionate about making that happen. theater has to be accessible.
It has to be.
And
you're
it's-
you're providing great sets, great lights, great actors, and great stories. But we also have to realize we're in Vermont, New Hampshire, and times are tough.
That's exactly right, and that's one of our keys. You know, my overall mission is to take what's been a very strong regional theater with a strong regional presence and make it a regional theater with a national presence.
So to just cover quickly the last 3 shows we haven't talked
Sure,
about.
sure.
We talked about Christmas Carol, Blithe Spirit,
Yes.
a wonderful World War II Noel Coward.
Yes, which he wrote to cheer people up. And the opening night of Blithe Spirit, the Blitz was going on, and I read a wonderful story that their, alarms were ringing and the sirens were ringing, and pieces of planks of wood were put down from the street to get people into the theater because people did not stay home. They wanted to be together and they wanted to be laughing. And it's a beautiful comedy and it's an elegant comedy. And I chose it because you have to have wonderful actors. You have to have really accomplished actors to do Noel Coward well. You know that.
I do.
And so I really want one of the calling cards this year to be the quality of performers that we bring here from all over the country.
Excellent. The last 2 I'm not as familiar with, Orwell in America.
So that's a world premiere. And that's what I mean about creating new work for the American theater. We started our first new play festival last January, and we did staged readings of 3 plays. And we will do it again this January. It's called New Works Now. It's just a little think tank, and you bring actors and artists in for 1 week, you work on their plays, you present them, and then the hope is to find something that you want to produce. Well, we did, and it's Orwell in America. It's about George Orwell, which is cool because 1984 is playing in London right now. There's a new version. And it's George Orwell on a book tour of America, trying to convince the American people about how painful the difference between the haves and the have-nots is. And they all think he's obviously anti-communist, but he's a socialist, and his book publishers don't want him to say that. So a very beautiful young woman accompanies him on the tour to try to direct him away from, unpopular theories, but it's compassionate.
So we had someone from public relations and
Totally.
branding
Yeah,
there.
and she's cute too. And so there's a little romantic maybe intrigue there too. Our leading actor in that is Jamie Horton, who was the leading actor at the Denver Theater Center for 25 years. He's which is a Tony-winning company. And part of why we chose to do this show is he's just brilliant in the role.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And then you close with the Jason Robert Brown musical, Songs for a New World.
Yes, and
Wow.
again, no one produces that too
No.
much, but I directed Songs for a New World in Cleveland about 8 years ago, and it was a huge hit. At the end of this season, we are moving into a new world, which is our new theater, and I wanted to end the season with voices raised to the roofs. And Jason Robert Brown's music is tinged with gospel and pop and rock and musical theater, and it is a
And jazz.
and jazz. It's a raise to the roof kind of evening. It's 4 performers. It's a song cycle, kind of like a Jacques Brella's Alive and Well, but more accessible. And I tie it together a little bit where it follows the story of people making big decisions, taking leaps into an unsure future, and kind of setting off on flight.
Well, I think it's so exciting. I think people are going to drive long and far in the snow and ice. It doesn't matter. They're going to
Yes.
be here
Yeah.
to see this new theater.
Yes,
And
too.
your second season, it's going to be very exciting.
I'm really excited for my second season because I always feel that it takes about a year to start getting the news out that there's a new energy in a theater company when we go through our transitions. And so you all can help spread the word that there's an infusion of energy here that's really exciting.
And there might even be some Shakespeare in the future? maybe?
I would like to do a Shakespeare. I'm going to say this here and now. You're my first person. I would like to do a Shakespeare in our first season in our new theater.
Breaking news, you heard it here first at Craft and the Southern Half.
No one else has heard that, but I really want to make that happen.
Well, let's take a little walk around the corner and talk to Eric Bunge, the managing director, and see all about this new space. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Carol.
Jamie.
Bye-bye. So now we're here with Eric Bunge, the managing director of Northern Stage, on what's going to be their new, comfy, delicious theater seats that are going to be in the new building 2015. We're just a year away from the new building.
We are 1 year from the new building being opened. We are right now. we should be getting our certificate of occupancy 1 year from right now. And the first rehearsals in the new theater should start in about a week from, a year and a week from now.
Let's jump right in.
Yeah, okay, so.
What's exciting? Tell me about the new space.
The new space is unlike anything I have seen so far in the Upper Valley. I've been to a lot of theater in the Upper Valley. The 30-mile or 40-mile radius from the town of Hartford, Hanover, Lebanon area, I would call that what I've been told is the Upper Valley. And I have not been to a theater that is quite shaped the way that the new theater for Northern Stage will be shaped, in that semi-thrust, modified thrust configuration, and with the rake of the seats. So I built this mock-up so that everybody who is coming in here can actually sit in these seats and kind of get the sight lines, so that wherever you are in the new theater, you will be seeing over the tops of people's heads who are in front of you, and a clear view of the stage, right from the leading edge of the stage all the way back to the back of the sets.
Not a bad seat in the house.
Not a bad seat in the house.
Right.
We've shaped it in such a way that the outside of the modified thrust is an aisle on both sides, so that sometimes they would put an aisle midway to the outside, and then those are the best seats on the outside of the modified thrust. So the aisles on the outside, and then on the inner circle, and then because we were able to elevate the seating in such a way that the 8th row is high enough that the VOM, or the entrance from the lobby, is actually under part of the seating. So in a way that the current Briggs Opera House can't do, or other places that I've seen, it unifies the whole audience, because you are all around this semicircle watching what's on stage. And I think it'll be a shared experience in a way that we haven't been able to experience so far.
And more entrances and exits for
More
actors.
entrances,
more
exits.
It's like having more instruments for a jazz band for the director.
Right. I was talking to someone today, and I said, imagine if you tried to play American football on a baseball field. Now, you can do it, and the players would adjust, but for the audience, for the crowd, it wouldn't, you can't quite, it can be pretty good, but it's not quite as good as when you really build a real theater for real live theater, or if you have a football field for American football. It just goes together. And what we've been using so far, and what I've seen, is that we've taken spaces and modified them in such a way that we can present live theater, but this is truly a space built for live theater. We can do other things in it, but it's ideally suited for live theater. And when those two things come together, the space and those three things, the space, the performance, and the performers on stage, and the audience in a space designed for live theater, there's something about, it just hits the perfect note. If we talk about in music, the perfect thirds, it just somehow resonates in a way that gets way inside the person watching and way inside the people who are doing it. And that's what we want to do. We want to go deeper inside the stories, deeper inside the people's, our experience of that, because that's what changes things.
And that's the one thing you can't get by watching Netflix at home,
Can't.
watching YouTube. You can't get that electricity that only a human being to human
Yep.
being can
This
give you.
is of the oldest things. This is the oldest. Telling a story, a live person telling another live person a story. That's like the oldest thing. That's how we communicated. That's how we passed on history. That's how we learned the lessons of the day. And that's why when you sit down and say to your child or to someone, once upon a time, all of a sudden you sit up and think about the times when we sit around the table and, hey, tell me a story about when I was a little kid. And you start to tell a story.
Or the story of how you got married,
Or
how you met.
yes. It just resonates with people.
I'm sure there's people out there that might not have come and seen a show at Northern Stage, but that's all going to change.
Yes.
Once they come and see a show and they think, this is a really amazing organization, how can I get closer to it? How can I get more involved? How can they?
Well, they can just give me a call. That's one way.
Great. Give Eric a call.
Give me a call or email me. I'm happy to meet with anybody. But we do have our Director's Circle, which is it's a group of donors at a certain level. It's $500 or more annually. So the Director's Circle is a group of people or households who can come to Director's Circle events like open rehearsals and like talkbacks, and not that others can't come to talkbacks, but we have special events just for our Director Circles. Then we have lectures for open to the public, our Athena Sundays, where the first Sunday after opening, we have a lecture about the theme of the play, about the playwright, about the world in which the play was written. So it's themed to the
It
particular-
really deepens your understanding, and you
Yeah.
understand how the actors researched it and got deeper
Yes,
into
well,
their
you were in
roles.
Romeo and Juliet.
I
and
was.
so you were part of probably Athena Sunday. So there are Athena Sundays, the talkbacks that we mentioned, and then we have a really, really strong volunteer corps. So volunteering for Northern Stage is another way, not only to see the shows,
Great idea.
but to get closer to the organization and understand everything it takes to put together a live theater production, which you know is a lot behind the scenes and
Lot.
very little.
It is an
in front of the
iceberg.
footlots.
It's the iceberg of
Footlots.
creativity. You're only seeing the finished, shiny piece of ice and 90% of below water.
Yeah, so people ask, well, what do you do all summer? Is it a nice vacation? We call this pre-production season, which is very busy for us.
Imagine producing 7 weddings with your family
Oh, yes.
in a row. That's the season you're looking
Yeah,
at.
and inviting the entire
And then
town to come.
inviting the entire town. So tell us, you have put together and co-founded theaters in a much smaller town, less than 800 people, and made it a huge success. And you were so successful at that. What an opportunity to jump in here 2.5 years before a new theater is coming, to really, what have you learned about the area and the people and what the change this theater is going to make?
Sure. Well, what resonated with me about the area and the people when I first came here, invited by Carol to take a look at the area, was it felt a whole lot like home to me. So it wasn't a major metropolitan area. It was very rural, very scenic, and the people are genuine. They're authentic. They have integrity. They want for their communities grand things. They want this place to be on the map, and it is on the map already in many, many ways. But I think the people that I've met want a really, really beautiful fabric for their community. And the live professional theater is a part of that fabric for the community that binds us together. And so I also saw the size of the community, and that resonated with me because I thought, well, it's at least 4 or 5 times bigger than the small town where I
Right.
started the Commonwealth Theater. And if you take into consideration the 30-mile radius from where we are right now, it's quite a bit larger than the population that was near to this small town in southeastern Minnesota where I started the Commonweal. So it just seemed like it was ripe for something big to happen. Elixir is here, the restaurant Elixir.
Great restaurant.
Great restaurant. Tip Top Cafe
Tip
is
Top.
here. Tucker Box is here. The Hotel Coolidge is here with all of its arts, art galleries and art shops in the retail spaces. There's just a real sort of, I don't know, vibe to what's happening already that it just takes. We're at the tipping point, and I know that's a book by is it Gladwell? Yeah, Gladwell.
Malcolm, yes.
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. But I felt we were at a tipping point. I saw nothing but possibilities, and I also know that an arts building like this, this kind of project that can galvanize all the other things that are going on, people say, well, if Northern Stage can do this, we can do this. So private development, I think, is going to really take off, if it hasn't already, because they see this as an indicator of the times. If the nonprofit arts organization Northern Stage can endeavor this, can dream to do this, and actually do it, we ought to be thinking about what we can do. And so I think that we need to lead, and we need to lead by example. I think we can see that in the design of the building that we put together. It's very in keeping with the area that our existing buildings are. It harkens back to the old warehouse days, or to the manufacturing building, to the Miller Auto building that was here. But I think people look at it as it's a beacon. Oh, now we're going there. So we really are going there? You told us a few years ago we were going to go on this journey, and now we're actually setting off? Yeah. Took us a while to pack.
So are you going to walk in on the very level that the theater is actually on?
Yes, so the lobby is at ground level, which then, with a very gradual slope up to the performance venue, it's all accessible. A beautiful plaza out front, so that it welcomes people. It's set back from Gate Street, so it's off the traffic a little bit and elevated a little bit so that it gives it some importance, I think. And it welcomes people in, and I think it really fits in with the area. It's the best theater I have been a part of designing. Theater is a lever to get people out of their homes and experiencing things, shopping, eating, coming to see the show. I mean, the ticket that they buy for the show is only a percentage of the economic impact that the organization has on the community. Certainly if you go to one of the restaurants, or if you go to the shop, or you stop at the gas station on the way here and you fill up, there are so many things to go into that. I'm a bit disappointed with, how popular. No, I really am not disappointed. It'll come around. Everything about entertainment these days tells me that you don't have to leave your house. Except to go to work in the morning, and some people don't have to do that even. They don't have to leave their house. So we're cloistered in these little boxes, and we never have to leave.
Our car and the house.
Yes, and we never have to rub shoulders with other human beings and look at them in their face. And we need more things that get us out into the public, get us out into other groups of people. You come to a live theater, and people are sitting next to each other,
Shoulder
they're
to
asking
shoulder.
where they're from.
Yeah.
Have you seen a show here before? I love it that it's so loud, when you're at the live theater before it starts.
It's true.
It's all about that experience.
Thank you,
The
Eric.
experience starts from the very, very beginning.
I can't wait for Into the Woods to start. And
Yeah.
folks, it's September. Into the Woods is about to start, and then we go to Clybourne Park, and then A Christmas Carol like you've never seen before. And that's just 2014. Then we're into the next season, 4 more shows. Eric Bunge, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie.
He's got a
Appreciate it.
dream. Come out, go shoulder to shoulder, be with people at the Northern Stage in White River Junction.
Come put your seats in our seats.
I like that. Put your seats in our seats. It's a bumper sticker already. Thank you.
Mother cannot guide you